today I'm gonna do something a little bit different. I'm gonna tell you a sports story. And nope, there's no movie tie-in here, though I would watch one about this. This is the story of the sumo wrestler Terunofuji, and what I think is the most incredible comeback story in the history of sports. Now, thankfully, I don't have to do much work to tell you this story, because back in 2020 and 2021, when it was happening, I wrote some pretty decent Facebook posts about it, and I'm gonna crib off of those to write my script. So let's rewind to my post from August 2nd, 2020. And let me repeat a warning that I wrote back then as well. I am not an expert in sumo. I got into sumo in 2020. There were no other sports to watch at the beginning of the lockdown. I was watching Japanese TV, and I happened to catch it on. It was the only sport to watch, and I got into it. So the information I am going to give you is to the best of my knowledge. But I'll share some links to the sources I used in my description if you'd like to read more. So first, let me explain a little bit about how JSA Sumo in Japan works. If you're familiar with how the English Football Premier League system works, you're already a little familiar with the idea of promotions and relegations. If you're not, think kind of like the MLB major and minor league system, and you'll have a bit of an idea of how sumo works. There are 6 professional sumo divisions, with the Makuuchi division being the major or Premier League equivalent. Promotions and demotions are dependent on a wrestler or rikishi's final record at the end of a 15-day tournament. I believe there are 6 of these tournaments a year. If you go 8-7 in a tournament, you're safe. 7-8 or lower, you're at risk of being relegated or demoted, depending on where you were ranked to start. In the Makuuchi division, there are 42 rikishi. They're broken up into 5 more rankings, 8 to 12 title holders. These are the Yokozuna, Ozeki, Sekiwake, and Komusubi. And then the 30 to 34 rank and file wrestlers called Maegashira. Getting to the rank of Ozeki is a pretty big deal. Being a Yokozuna is a really big deal. This is one of the few sumo terms that most people, especially trivia fans, might know. It is the creme de la creme of sumo. If you become a Yokozuna, you can no longer be demoted or relegated. You're Yokozuna essentially until retirement. So now let's talk about Terunofuji. He became an Ozeki back in 2015. Then 2016 happened, and injuries, which grew even worse in 2017. By the end of the year, Terunofuji was demoted from Ozeki, and ultimately over the following 2 years fell completely out of the Makuuchi division all the way down to the second from the bottom, Jonida. For almost a year, he recovered from what is an absolutely ridiculous list of ailments. Diabetes, knee problems, apparently one of his ACLs is just gone, kidney stones, an issue with his left elbow, and also somewhere in there, apparently Hep C. But finally, after all of that, he made his return in March of 2019. From there, he went on an absolute tear through the lower divisions. He managed to make it back to Makuuchi division in July of 2020. And thus he became the first former Ozeki to fall so low down in the divisions and make it back up to Makuuchi. He comes in at Maegashira number 17. This is the absolute lowest ranking in the Pro League, and people are curious to see how he's going to do, but I don't think there was much expectation. I should also note during this time, sumo had 2 Yokozuna, Kakuryu, who was near retirement, and Hakuho.
Kakuryu got the left grip. Looking good for Kakuryu.
Hakuho is arguably the greatest sumo wrestler of all time outside of Raiden, but a lot of Raiden stories are kind of tall tales, so who knows. On the day of the tournament, one of the 2 Yokozuna is injured and withdraws. On day 12, one of the Ozeki is injured and withdraws. Meanwhile, Terunofuji has only lost 1 fight and is tied with the remaining Ozeki for first place in the rankings. On day 13, the other Yokozuna is injured and forced to withdraw. Meanwhile, Terunofuji and the remaining Ozeki, Asurayama, I could also do a whole video about this guy and the way he kind of threw his career away. Anyway, they fight. Around this time, Asurayama was pretty much 1 tournament away from being promoted to Yokozuna. He was Japan's big hope to finally get another Japanese Yokozuna. Much to at least my amazement, Terunofuji defeats the Ozeki to take sole possession of first place with only 2 nights of fighting remaining. It's the final day of the tournament. There are 2 possibilities for how the night could have progressed. If Terunofuji loses, then he has to fight in a follow-up 3-person mini-tournament at the end of the night. The winner of that little mini-tournament would be the winner. But if he won his fight that night, he wins the whole thing outright. Either outcome promised to be pretty exciting, though the idea of a 3-person tournament made me very skeptical of Terunofuji's chances of winning overall. Well, it wasn't worth considering, because Terunofuji won his final match with authority to become the second Maegashira number 17 to win a tournament that year. His post-match interview, he said that he tried to retire 5 different times between 2016 and 2017, and his stable master, or coach, kept pushing him to stay and keep going. Now, in 2020 I said, quote, "To me, that is one incredible sports story. Probably one of the best I've ever had the fortune to witness, along with the Cubs 2016 World Series." And Michael Bisping's middleweight championship run.
He heard it back. And again, Michael Bisping is the new UFC middleweight champion of the world.
So imagine my surprise when the story gets even better. March 28, 2021. It's the end of the year's spring tournament. At this point, I have been watching sumo for 1 full year. In the spring tournament of 2020, Terunofuji wasn't even competing in the Makuuchi division.
Shocks Takakisho out. Terunofuji is the March tournament champion.
Now, he wins the thing outright.
皆さんのおかげでこうやって元の位置に戻ることができました。これからもよろしくお願いします。
And is on the verge of returning to where he was before all of his injuries 4 years ago. Ozeki. This is incredible. I don't know how you can't love this kind of story. How is this even happening? It defies the logic of the body and physics. Okay. But wait, there's more. July 22nd, 2021, or somewhere around there, I wrote this post late. Something incredible. Terunofuji becomes the 73rd ever Yokozuna. I can't believe I started watching sumo just in time to see this happen. I can't believe I saw it happen. I wish so very much that more people knew it happened, because it is without a doubt the greatest comeback of all time, even though he couldn't beat Hakuho in their last meeting.
Yokozuna Grand Champion Hakuho and Ozeki Champion Terunofuji are all tied up, 14 wins and no losses each. Hakuho with a Kachihage forearm shiver. Terunofuji gets a grip, but he loses it. They go after each other with a slapping attack. Hakuho goes inside, gets the wate left hand. That's his lethal weapon. Hakuho has the advantage. Terunofuji wants to get the grip. Hakuho attacks. Once again, Hakuho goes for a kote nage, and down goes Terunofuji. Hakuho with a shout. He wins the championship. Zensho Yusho number 16 and 45th overall championship for the top dog Hakuho.
On his promotion, Terunofuji said,
不動心を心がけ、横綱の品格、力量の向上に努めます。
In the midst of all of this, there are so many other storylines I could tell you about. But I really just want to celebrate something that I know isn't going to be well known outside of Japan. And I think that's a shame. Hakuho, the Yokozuna I mentioned previously, and again, likely the greatest sumo wrestler of all time, he retires. So now Terunofuji is the sole Yokozuna. For the next 3.5 years, he keeps going. He wins 6 more tournaments, but he had to pull out of a lot of them as well. His body was failing him and his struggle with diabetes was getting worse. But finally, at the end of January's tournament of this year, the JSA announced the promotion of a new Yokozuna. Terunofuji could retire knowing that he wouldn't be leaving sumo without a Yokozuna. In the end, he had an overall record of 523, 275, 231. He fought for 14 years. He won 10 tournaments in Makuuchi. 9 of those were after his return from injury. He almost made it to the top before falling deep into the basement. He didn't let that stop him. He returned. He succeeded. He excelled beyond his previous best. To that I say, good job. I am so honored to have been able to watch you compete. I hope that more people hear your story. You won't find Terunofuji in many record books of sumo. He isn't the greatest Yokozuna of all time, and I wouldn't claim him to be. But what I would say is he is a great story of what it means to learn from your past mistakes, find humility, and do what it takes to reach your dreams. And boy, am I glad your stable master didn't let you quit. Enjoy your time now as a stable master yourself. I hope you have great success, and time now to take care of your health. To close, I'll let the man speak for himself.
もちろんいい時も悪い時もありましたけど、その人生を2回楽しむいい機会になったんじゃないかなと思うし、そして たくさんの方に、支えられてきたなっていうのは実感してます。
If you've been watching my YouTube shorts, you probably already know that my office is a little messy thanks to my 6-year-old. But here's what I'm here to tell you. At the beginning of this video, I said there was no connection to my regular television and film content, but in the meantime, I found out that there is a sumo TV show on Netflix called Sanctuary. It has 1 season, and rumor has it, season 2 is being filmed soon. So, you're going to be getting more sumo content from me, because I'm going to review the episodes as I watch them, or maybe I'll do a recap of the whole season. Not making too many promises. See ya!